So, if you would like to introduce yourself and tell us what would make you a good candidate for Batley and Spen.
Thanks, Chris. My name's Alan Freeman, representing the Green Party in Batley and Spen. I think all Green Party candidates have something fairly unique and makes them good candidates for whatever constituency. We tend to be people that care about people. And everything that we do, when we talk about whatever policy, we always have at the front of our minds how it affects people and how it affects the environment, of course.
What do you feel are the big issues nationally?
Oh, they're all big issues nationally, I think, aren't they? The thing on everybody's mind at the moment is Brexit. This election's been called, I think, almost as a de facto second referendum on Brexit. The way the Prime Minister is pushing the whole thing about vote for me for a strong hand in Brexit. I think there are other issues which are more important than Brexit. They could be affected by Brexit, but at the end of the day, our health and our education and the environment we live in are bigger issues than whether we're in the European Union or not.
And just sort of following on from that, what do you feel are the big issues locally?
The one overriding thing that everybody talks about locally is always Dewsbury Hospital. Hospitals in general, about their downgrading, etc. And although it's obviously a very important issue locally, it kind of is affected very much by the national situation in terms of funding, etc., and also the ideological attack on the National Health Service by this government. For me, another very important issue is community relations. We have a very mixed community here in Batley and Spen. I spend a lot of time talking to various leaders in the Asian community, in the Muslim community, and with the current atmosphere in the country, I think those community relations are very important, and it's something that's fairly easy to deal with as well, because it doesn't need a huge budget. You just need to sit down and talk to people and think about educating everybody about the issues at hand.
What is the importance of the youth vote in this election?
Oh, it's huge. The youth vote could actually be what decides it one way or the other. That's why I've been pushing, my party's been pushing, I know the Labour Party also have been pushing to try and motivate the youth vote, because in general they vote, I don't really want to say on the left, because the whole left-right thing can confuse the issue, but they vote more with a social responsibility. So the parties that are that's going to benefit the most are the Labour Party and the Green Party. So the youth vote is very, very important in this election.
What is your vision for the future of the NHS?
Most importantly, that it remains in public hands. This ideological attack that it's receiving, even forgetting the funding thing, the ideological attack that it's receiving from the current government, where everything is going towards privatisation, is horrific. I've lived in a country where the health service was private and you had to pay for private insurance. Can you imagine sitting down, thinking about your health? You've got to look at how much it costs for the gold or the silver or the bronze service from this insurance company. And when I was in that situation, I could only afford the bronze service. Luckily for me, I didn't get some terrible disease or needed an important operation, which would have meant I would have got the bronze service and not the gold service. Luckily for me, since I've been living back in this country, I have had some issues. I've had 3 major operations, including open heart surgery. I would not have wanted that open heart surgery on the bronze service. So the most important thing is that the NHS remains in public hands.
So, what is your stance on fracking and whether or not it should be banned?
Oh, I represent the Green Party. It should 100% be banned. It's a terrible, terrible thing. I'm not sure what's worse, the fact that it's yet another attempt to extract the very last dregs of fossil fuels from the planet, or the fact that nobody seems to really know the consequences. There have been some terrible things happen on fracking sites, and denials that it was because of the fracking, but the evidence points to the fact that it's potentially disastrous for the area being fracked. So absolutely 100% against.
How do you feel the education system can be improved on a local level?
Well, one of the central tenets of the Green Party's policy for education is to take academies and free schools back under the wing of local education authorities, which in a way is quite extreme compared to what most of the other parties are saying they want to do with education, which is spend a bit more money here, make sure everybody gets a free meal or free breakfast or whatever. The Green Party has quite a radical idea of what to do with education, and one of the most important things is to get schools back under the local education authority control.
And just following on from that, what do you feel is the best way of improving the transition from education into employment?
That is a great question. I've never been asked it before. I would say part of education should be how to get a job. I'm not talking about a careers officer and going and sitting down in an office and saying, doing some kind of a psychological test to see what you should be doing. But some kind of help in how to write a good covering letter and how to improve your CV or modify your CV for specific jobs and things like that would be one idea that comes to mind. The extension of programs like apprenticeships and things like that would be a good idea. Good question. Maybe it needs a bit more thinking about, but those are just the first things that come to mind.
What do you feel is the best way to tackle increasing child poverty?
Oh. Well, again, this is something that it's difficult to pick out one thing. It needs improvements across the board in the minimum wage, in the way benefits are handled, the levels of benefits, the kind of means tests that are done. Certainly it's a problem that needs to be carefully thought about and needs some immediate improvements.
What are your feelings about the pension age, elderly welfare and the end-of-life care?
It's a good question to be asking me. I'm not that far off pension age, although it seems to be going up and getting further away all the time. I think the real important issue is the welfare thing. It's been in the news, obviously, recently because of recent government announcements and then U-turns. I've always thought, in fact, when I did a hustings a couple of weeks ago, a similar question came up, and I made this answer off the top of my head because I didn't know what party policy was, and then found out afterwards the answer I made up was actually party policy. And that's that welfare should really come under the same banner as the NHS. We should be thinking about health from birth to the end of life, really, as one thing, and bringing welfare for older people under the banner of the NHS would be a helpful thing to do, I think. In terms of the retirement age, I think, for me, I think I'm going to work until I'm dropped, probably. It's not something I've thought about. I think the age probably at the moment, it's going to be 67 for me, I believe. I always thought when I was growing up be 65 is a good ballpark figure.
How do you envisage the future of public services such as libraries, sports facilities and public transport?
need a lot more investment, for sure. Public transport especially. I live in Heckman White, which is quite rural and doesn't have great public transport links, to be honest. Definitely needs more investment, needs modernising, improvements in access for cyclists and that kind of thing, as you'd expect from the Green Party. Yeah, more investment needed and improvements greatly needed.
And finally, in your own words, why should people vote for you?
People should vote for me because, as I said in my introduction, the Green Party has a vision that is based in what's the best for people and for the planet, for the environment. And I think I'm a realist. We're, as a party, are not going to be in government. We're not going to win 330 seats. We've got one MP at the moment who is universally considered one of, if not the best MP in the House of Commons, ex-MP. There's no MPs at the moment. Imagine if she had 2 or 3 colleagues there with her, what a difference it might make. I think our job as Green Party politicians is at the moment to prod and poke the government to do the right thing for people and for the planet. And that's the kind of job I would love the chance to be able to do next to Caroline Lucas in that big house down there in London.